Hello, and welcome to a video that is a slightly different format than what I normally do. I've been really enjoying Unicorn Overlord. I've played the demo 3 times now, from the very beginning. With the exception of not finishing the final mission on purpose, I do want to do that on stream. But yeah, I've just been really enjoying this game, and I want to share some tips and tricks that I found. And if you're playing this game, hopefully you find them helpful. We'll start with some general overworld stuff before diving into the combat of the game. So the first involves just random fast travel. This is mostly already told to you in the tutorial, but you can fast travel very quickly to anything, pretty much. Any cities, quest markers, you can fast travel to pretty much all the things that are selectable. Except for the question marks and the exclamation mark. You can put pins, but you can't fast travel to them. But you can fast travel to quest markers, which is really, really helpful to get around to places faster. You can also, this is also probably a good thing to do, to just activate quests, just so you have easy quest markers to teleport to, which will be relevant for the next part. So, as you're exploring, you can explore pretty much almost everywhere. These little houses do give you like items too. I totally skipped over them in my first run just because I didn't realize. But yeah, they are really, really nice. But yeah, you can basically run almost anywhere as long as you're able to avoid or defeat some of these units. You can just run. You can just run, grab stuff, and be totally okay. Now, one of the cool things, of course, for example, right here, you can activate this quest in order to get a fast travel spot here. And once you have a fast travel spot here, you can more easily explore the area. Now, again, you can just avoid units if you want to. The forest does occasionally have these types of units. As long as you can beat them, or at least deal more damage to them than they do to you, you'll be totally okay. These mages you have to be careful of because they do teleport, which is fairly annoying. Yep, there's the teleport again. Now, if you do lose, for example, here I do lose, you don't really lose any health or anything. You just get sent back to your last fast travel point, and that's pretty much it. Now, if you do beat them though, and this is what I would encourage you to do anytime that you can beat them, if you do beat them, you get honor. You get honor for beating these things, right? It's 1 to 2 honor is what I found that you can get. And you can pass through some of these things too. Like this gate right here, you can just walk through. Just straight up. I thought it was there to block your progress, but no, you can just walk through a lot of these gates, which is really fascinating. It is worth it to explore. Just exploring all of these areas, getting all of these collectible. All of these resources can be used for deliveries. Deliveries lead to more honor. Honor leads to you getting better units. And so it's just overall a pretty solid idea to just gather as many as you can. Of course, you can just continue running, avoiding these units. And if you lose, you can just come back, right? And yeah, so this is something that you can just do and be okay with. And I can just avoid these people right here. Now, another thing that you can battle, if you go to any fort, I'm gonna go here, for example. There are these training battles. So most of the time, the purpose of these battles is basically just to let you know what a class does, right? So for example, this is a great way to learn what a cleric does, which is really good, obviously. But if you do beat them, I'm going to see if I can find one that is beatable. Maybe one of these forts up here. Maybe this one. Yeah. Like right here, I can completely beat up on these archers, right? I'm just gonna skip the battle, I don't need to see it. you get money. So the first time you beat any of these training battles, you get 2,000 gold, which is a decent amount of money. It adds up fairly quickly, right? There's one here. There's one here for house carls. There's two of them up here, I believe, for thieves and hoplites. Anywhere you have a fort, there will be at least one battle, if not two. And so it's actually really useful to just get a bunch of money from that way. 2,000 gold adds up fairly quickly, and a lot of the towns and cities here have pretty good items. So it's worth it, absolutely worth it, to just get the money when you can, right? Just check back and see if you can build a unit that can defeat that specific team comp, right? You can also use tactics to help you do that. I'll explain more about tactics later in this video. But yeah, that's basically most of the overworld stuff. You can basically explore this whole area. With the exception of this middle part, it is blocked by high-leveled enemies. But you can basically explore all this whole top part. The top part, I will warn you, has basically level 11 to 13 enemies. You can avoid them, of course, and as long as you survive, you'll be completely fine. Joseph is level 20, so any unit with Joseph, as long as you're not up against a disadvantaged class type, you'll probably be okay. But yeah, that's basically it for the traveling part, the overworld stuff. Next, let's talk about some unit building. Okay, let's talk about unit building. When building your units, you generally want to have a balanced unit. You can also have some specialized units, but the main thing that I want to say before anything else is you don't want to be too rigid in your unit building. You will very often be swapping individuals in and out of units depending on the scenario, so you don't want to try to spend too much time crafting the perfect unit. I don't think that exists. Maybe late game there will be units that are basically perfect, that are super good for that one thing. But in general, especially in the early game, expect yourself to be swapping out your people in and out of units so that it fits what battle you're trying to accomplish, right? The main thing is that you want to generally have a front line, you want to have someone that can actually do damage, and then you possibly want a few units that have assist options. So front lines generally come in two forms. There's your standard hoplite. This is your standard super physically tanky unit. High physical defense, lower magic defense. And how defense works in this game is that it is a straight subtraction from physical attack to physical defense, and then any potency or buffs class-wise or weapon-wise comes in later. So for example, someone with 25 physical attack doing a 100 physical potency damage would deal 2 damage to this hoplite, right? 25 minus 23 is 2 damage, and 100 physical potency means it deals 100% of that. If it's 150 potency, then it'll do 2 plus 1, so 150 means 150% of 2, which is still just 3 damage, so it's not that much, right? Of course, hoplites are super weak to magic, and so you do have to use hoplites in the right places. Against mages, they are not super great. You can also have high evasion. So evasion and accuracy work very similarly to attack and physical attack, where you take the accuracy, you subtract it by the evasion, and whatever number is left, that is the percentage that you lose in hitting, right? So for example, let me find a good example here. One with high evasion. I don't want to use Josette as a evasion thing, but we can do it. Yeah, okay. So for example, Thibault here has 115 accuracy against the 72 evasion of Travis the Thief. So 115 minus 72 basically leaves you with 43. So that is the percentage that is being lost here. So 43% chance of missing means that he actually has a 58 chance of hitting, I believe. And then, of course, any buffs to evasion or accuracy come after, right? So the Thief is basically just generalist high evasion. Evasion also works against magic attacks, so you can dodge magic attacks. Some games don't allow that, but this game does. Griffin Knights are another way to be a dodge tank, specifically against infantry units. They have a class trait. Class traits only happen with a few classes that I've seen. Griffin Knights is one of them, Cavalry is another one, Archer is another one. But yeah, 2 times dodge rate versus grounded melee, 2 times physical damage versus cavalry. So that means that whatever the dodge rate is here, right? Let's say it's 115 minus 42, which is, why am I blanking? 73. So 73% chance of, 73% chance of hitting. And then because Thibault is a grounded unit, that is further divided by 2. So from 73% chance of hitting, that goes down to about 35% chance of hitting. So against grounded units, Griffin Knights are really, really good. They are weak against anti-flying skills. For example, archers with their sure sight for guaranteed hits will be able to take them down pretty easily. So all of these 3 have advantages and disadvantages to them being the front line. Again, you have to look at the battle and see which one is appropriate for that specific battle. Damage dealing units are generally weak against physical damage. Physical units are generally weak against hoplites. For example, Aubin here has 31 physical attack. Throwing that into a 23 physical defense means that I am only doing 8 damage, right? And I say only 8 because Aubin here is level 8 and Thibault here is level 3. So a 5 level difference and I'm still only doing 8 damage out of 35 HP, right? And if there's a healer in the back row healing up this hoplite, Aubin is never breaking through that tank, right? Now, warriors, on the other hand, have a skill called Heavy Smash. This can hit through armored target, right? It is unguardable, for one. And guard generally would reduce damage by either 25% if you don't carry a shield, 50% if you carry a shield, 75% if you carry a great shield. But this is unguardable, and it ignores 100% defense versus armored targets. So it's basically dealing true damage, non-reducible damage to armored targets. So warriors here will just deal straight 27 damage to your hoplite. So that would just deal 27 straight damage, leaving the hoplite with just 8 HP. So these two together will take down this one hoplite, right? So you do want to have some units that can hit through hoplites, especially if you are very physical heavy. Of course, the other way to deal with hoplites is to use magic, right? High magic attack like mages will be able to work well against these hoplites, but they are fairly weaker against, say, Griffin Knight, right? Higher evasion, Griffin Knights can dodge magic attacks. High magic defense, not as effective. So again, choosing the right damage dealer for the right types of defensive targets, which is the reason why you're going to be switching units in and out quite a bit. Now, support options, especially assists, are a big part of this game. Some leaders, for example, archers can provide range assists, mages can provide magic assists, and healers can provide healing assists. This consumes one stamina in order for you to deal extra damage to their whole team, right? To the whole of enemy team. The potency is lower. For example, magic assist and range assist, I believe both only have 30 physical potency. which means that it's only dealing 30% damage after the subtraction, right? For example, this 22 magic attack into 17 magic defense will normally deal 5 damage. 30% of that means that it will only really deal about 2 damage to each unit, so not very worth it sometimes. Of course, if you're up against a unit that has a bunch of hoplites, this will deal way more damage than that, right? It's base damage plus 5 times assisting members. So, for example, if I only have 1 witch here, it's just whatever that is plus 5. So it would actually be 2 damage plus 5, 7 damage, right? If I have 2 archers, for example, in this one I have 2 archers here, 30 physical potency, let's say I am attacking myself here. So 26 physical attack minus 6, that's 20 physical attack normally. It's only 30% potency, so divide that by about 3. You're basically dealing about 6 damage, right? But it's 6 damage plus 5 times 2 because I have 2 assisting members. So it's actually another plus 10. So instead of just 6 damage or 11 damage, it goes from 11 damage to 16 damage, which is quite a significant increase. So that is another strategy, is to load up your backline with just one type of assist. So if I have 3 archers, that's a plus 15, which is really nice, right? Plus 15 damage on all of the enemy targets. That's a solid increase. So that is one strategy you can take. Of course, the weakness of that would be if you're up against a bunch of hoplites, let's say. Your damage isn't going to be very meaningful anyways, right? Healing is the same way. Healing support is, again, 30% magic potency. This will heal all allies at the end of battle. It does not revive. It is still really, really good to have. I always have at least 1 healing assist option in all my battles. It just helps so much, especially with Watchtowers. I'll explain more about why that is when we get to the battle section. Now, when constructing units, you want to make it balanced. You want to make it sure that units survive. One of the biggest things of this game is that you always want your units to be at least surviving, even if they're at low health. Because surviving at low health just means that they're able to tank at least 1 more attack in the next round, right? This is one of my favorite units, is Soldier, Cleric, and Gladiator. This unit right here is just really, really good at being able to hold a front line, right? The Gladiator here has bulk up, which after being hit by attack recovers 40% HP. The Cleric here has quick heal, where after an ally is hit by an attack, it also heals at 50% magic attack, magic potency. So that for Sharon here, that'll be a 10 heal, right? So this heals straight up 40% plus another 10 the moment the Gladiator is hit, right? Also important to note is that the Cleric is relatively slow here, right? A bit lower initiative, but that means that her heal will probably come out after the Gladiator is hit by even more stuff. And of course, the Soldier has First Aid, which at the end of the battle will heal 25% to an ally. Which basically means that this Gladiator, as long as it does not get one-shot, will always end the battle at full health, right? This is one of my favorite units, but that's basically how you should be constructing your units, especially basically making sure for survivability and for damage, right? Gladiator does a lot of damage. It has 24 physical attack even at level 3 here. It is possible to get one shot. If you look at the physical defense and magic defense, it is relatively low, but it does have very high HP, so it trades some defenses for just really high health. This is really especially synergistic with, say, Chloe, because Chloe heals for percentage HP, 25%. Mages heal for a flat amount, right? 100 magic potency means straight 21 health, right? 25% means that the higher health someone is, the higher the max health someone is, the more healing they would do, right? 25% HP here would be about 12-ish health, right? So already almost as much as, pretty much the same as the healer's quick heal here, more or less. So that's basically my tips for constructing units, is making sure that you have a balanced unit. Constructing some of these, like this is my favorite unit to use by far. It's super tanky frontline, super good survivability, really good at just holding a position. Of course, if I have one more frontliner here, that would also be really nice. But that does mean that the healing gets spread a little bit. So yeah. Also take advantage of class skills. For example, knights and cavalry will deal 2 times physical damage versus infantry, and there's a lot of infantry units, right? For example, archers, infantry, gladiators, infantry, soldiers, infantry, healers, infantry. Basically anything that's on the ground is an infantry. So there's a lot of opportunities for your knights to be doing double physical damage to anyone, really. Knights are especially nice because of Assaulting Lance. If you defeat an enemy, you basically get a reset, you get another +1 AP, and you can attack again. This can lead to a pretty good domino effect where if you have a low initiative knight, and when you recruit, you can set things to be lower initiative. If you have a low initiative knight, you can actually have it target low health, and you can almost go on a spree where you just keep attacking, defeat, get another attack. Attack, defeat, get another attack. Attack, defeat, get another attack. And you can wipe out units fairly quickly, especially units with just infantry. Of course, knights are still heavily blocked by hoplites, so you do need a way to get around that. But that's basically all my tips for building units. Be aware of what you're fighting against, and change up your units often, right? Before you deploy into a battle, just quickly check, hey, what am I going up against? What units do I need? Do I need more tank busters? Are there no tanks at all? Do I need cavalry defeaters? If they have a lot of cavalry, you want to be careful on using too many infantry units, right? For example, gladiators, even though they have really high HP, their physical defense being 6 means that, I don't know how to pronounce that. This knight here with 21 physical attack minus the 6 defense normally would deal 15, but it'll deal double damage, right? So that's 30 damage into this tank right away. So, it's supposed to be a tank, not really gonna work, right? So that's basically my tricks for building units. And next we're gonna go into a battle, and I can show you a few tricks that I picked up in a battle. Okay, let's talk about battles. Battles in this game are automatic, and so you don't have too much control over it. Most of the control that you have over your units will be through tactics, which we will talk about later. But there are some things in battle that you can take advantage of that are really, really useful. First thing that I want to talk about are these watchtowers. And these watchtowers are absolutely one of the biggest keys in being able to win a map or to lose a map. The main thing about these garrisons, the garrison effects, is the no stamina consumption. That even includes the one here at the command post, the watchtowers, or any cities or forts that you come across. They are very, very useful, and I'll show you what I mean. So first thing I'm going to do is take this over.
It'll be over in a sec.
So you'll see that one of the big things in this battle is that you can have assists. One of the most powerful assists are healing assists. I find that sometimes for magic and range assists, it actually activates some of the enemy skills that you don't want to activate, and therefore you actually end up losing more health. So you do want to be careful and be aware of what you're doing with that. So I'm going to go ahead and skip this battle. It's fine. I want to just get that watchtower real quick. I
Our
think...
success is inevitable.
Okay, nice. So as you can see, there's
gotcha.
magic assists.
me
For this
help
one,
ya.
we can just use, but I'm just gonna win this.
I hope you find peace.
And I'm just gonna move Sharon
that
over
all?
here to Garrison here.
It's under our stewardship
There we
now.
go. And one of the things that happens now is that your healing assist is now automatic. And you will not lose stamina doing this, right? So you're basically, anywhere in this area, you're basically getting a free healing assist. And where the only disadvantage is that you cannot move your garrison unit off of the Watchtower. Which is a fairly okay disadvantage to have. These units are generally going to be units that you want to have in the back anyways. You don't really want them in the front lines. The other cool thing, one of the other cool things that you can do, that this is probably one of the least, how do I say this? This is probably one of the least intuitive tools, is that you can actually switch who's on the Watchtower. For example, right now I'm getting a free heal, and if I want a magical assist,
gotcha.
I'm gonna need to have to spend a stamina. Right? I'm gonna
help
need
ya.
to spend a
I
stamina
gotcha.
in order to
Let me help ya.
get that magical assist. By swapping units, you can actually swap who's on top of the garrison fort. For example, I can
We
swap
must
here,
claim victory.
and now Chloe's on top. Right now, Chloe's on top. I can switch
Been
again,
waiting for this.
and Artemisia is now in the middle of things, and I can switch
I'm
again.
up.
And now I have a free magical assist, and I can pay for a healing assist. So you can actually very easily swap who's on top of the Watchtower or who's
No,
garrisoning
our
and
success.
healing
We
for
must-
free.
I'm not
You can basically do this for
Our-
free.
To arms.
It's such a good movement tool, this swapping thing, but I feel like the hidden mechanic of being able to swap who's on top of the Watchtower is probably the most broken thing about this mechanic. Because you can swap for free. I can just
We
go,
must
okay,
claim
I'm gonna put
victory.
Artemisia up there. That way I take 0 damage. Right? I can
I'm
even
up.
swap like that, and I can go,
Let's
okay,
join
I'm gonna
our
get both
strength.
healing assist and magic assist.
Our
Right?
success.
No holding back.
Like, that honestly
arms.
is the most
I
cool
gotcha.
thing about this battle system, is being able to swap who's on the Watchtowers with the swapping mechanic. So those are the two things about garrisoned effects that are very, very useful. I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit once.
To arms.
Okay, one other thing I forgot to mention. It is fully okay for a unit to be at 0 stamina. The only thing about 0 stamina is that you cannot move your unit, but you can still swap your units.
Our success.
I can
It'll
get
be-
my
refuse.
I can
Been
get my
waiting for this.
0
I'm not afraid of
stamina mage from being out in the open.
We must claim
I can swap them all the way to the guard tower if I want to. So this is a really, really good way to get your 0 stamina unit into a garrisoned fort so that they can slowly heal up, slowly get their stamina back. It does take time though. Sometimes it's better to just rest. But it is sometimes better this way because a lot of the garrisoned effects does have reduced wait time. So it takes shorter for you to get your stamina back. So that is one of the cool
No
things. The
holding
other
back.
cool thing is that even at 0 stamina, you don't get the first strike disadvantage. One of the first things you learn from the tutorial is that if you are waiting, you get first strike, which means that all the enemies will get their active attacks before you get to move. That doesn't apply to 0 stamina. As you can see, at 0 stamina here, I will still be doing the first move based on initiative. The only disadvantage is that I can't move, right? I will still move the same way as the initiative goes. So that is one of the cool things about being at 0 stamina. If you have a tanky unit that's holding a choke point, it's fully okay to just leave them at 0 stamina and just never press rest. They will still be able to hold the line. They will still be able to get attack normally, basically, and you don't have to worry too much, right? So that's one thing that I want to mention. Being at 0 stamina is a disadvantage in the sense that you can't move. But if your units are clumped up together, you can navigate that issue really well especially near a watchtower,
It'll be up.
I
to
refuse
just
to yield.
move them
I'm
away,
not afraid of you.
and that's
Our
okay.
Been waiting for
Like,
this.
for example, I can do this. I'm still gonna get a battle going, right? I still get to move first here,
Good.
even at 0 stamina, and it's all okay. Right. There we go. And healing assist. There we go.
Come back. Gonna need a minute.
So yeah, 0 stamina is perfectly fine. For example, right now when they're both waiting, it is probably okay for me to just
You got orders
press
for me?
rest here and get my stamina back up. So I just want to mention that before I move on to the boss. So see you in a second. Okay, now that we're here, let's talk about bosses. So bosses generally have the 3 stars underneath them. I'm sure at some point you'll probably find maps where there are multiple bosses to fight. In the demo, I believe there's only 1 per area, which is completely fine. But the bosses and these garrison usually are summoning reinforcements. You can see by the bar below that this boss is currently a little more than halfway through summoning a reinforcement. Now, reinforcements can be good or bad depending on your viewpoint, in the sense that defeating them does give you more points at the end of the battle, which is converted into honor, money, and reputation. But it also wastes time on the top, and winning a battle with more time gives you more points, which again also converts to money, honor, and reputation. All of that said, I'm not sure which one is mathematically better. I haven't crunched the numbers yet, although I want to. But one of the ways to stop reinforcements is to damage the unit. One of the biggest things is that it is sometimes worth it to sacrifice a unit just to stop reinforcements from appearing, because that way it will have to spend a bit of time healing.
I'll
right?
handle it.
For example, I can do this, and this is a huge loss, just straight up. I will be losing basically my whole team to do this, right? But the trade-off is that I'm going to be able to deal some damage to this and stop it from getting reinforcements up. I'll also get one of the things that this doesn't show is also the healing from my auto healing from the Watchtower, and so it's sometimes worth it to just, do this. So I'm just
I'm
going
off
to go
then.
ahead and sacrifice this unit.
A
I'm
difficult assignment.
gonna get a bit of healing. I can also
I gotcha.
magical assist here
Let me help ya.
to deal some damage. And what happens now? Yep, I take a decent amount of damage. My front line is gone for Chloe. But it switches into healing mode. And so it's gonna start healing, which is completely fine. We are faster at waiting though.
Could use some treatment.
One of the things that you can do with this is that you can just have
Received. This
not
doesn't
go
look
back.
good.
go back and withdraw,
I'm
and you
open.
can actually swap out the units that are fainted for newer units and then come back right back out onto the field. That is one strategy that you can take. I'm gonna have Artemisia's unit
I don't
here.
know about this.
Again, I am getting these free heals, right? I put my healer up there so that I can get these free heals without having to worry about things too much. One of the things that happens when you damage, or let me just make sure. I damage a unit, I lose, unfortunate. So yeah, it will continue healing, which is, again, slightly unfortunate. But I can do that again.
No holding back.
And again, I can do this to get my things back, right? You can also use items beforehand. I didn't buy a lot of items, but you can use
They look
items.
tough.
Unfortunately, that item usage was a waste, right? Because no matter what, Elaine is going to go down. That is just how it is. The trade-off, though, is that I'm going to be able to take out at least one of their knights. Now, when they heal, though, the moment they heal, they will revive their knights. Every unit gets revived when they are healed at a garrison with 1 health. Or with a little bit of health. So, for example, I'm just going to skip battle here. Elaine goes down, unfortunately.
Say
I
here
lose
for now.
and I go into defense mode. You can see here right now that they're at 0, 13, and 48. The moment this heal finishes, they are healed to 8, 55, and 18, right? So all units get healed, defeated units get revived, which can be fairly annoying. And they're going to start healing again.
Guide me, oh Father.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's not too much I can do with this. I didn't really prepare the units for defeating this boss, but I just want to show you a few things that you can do. So the moment Chloe gets back here, right, I'm just going to let Chloe return.
Standing down.
You get more Valor points, so you can use that immediately to use a Valor skill, for
prepared for
example.
anything.
I can use Arrow Rain or Wild Rush. I can use Heal to heal up any hurt units. Or I can also come in here and switch out Chloe's units here, right? Whoops. I can press X and I can go, okay, instead of these two, I can bring in newer units, right? For example, I can bring in Joseph here, right? Gonna move quickly there because there are some spoiler characters, but that's okay. So for example, I can bring in Joseph here. I can say, Lex, you can leave, and Travis, I guess. So I can do that, right? And I can switch them out, and then I can switch the leader. I can say, okay, Joseph, you're now the leader, and I can bring the unit straight back out and immediately run over, right?
Very well.
So those are, that's basically how you can play this. All these is really useful, right? Joseph is kind of a cheat code. He's level 20. He's going to be defeating most things. But yeah, the heal doesn't reset. Now, one thing that does happen though, and this is not going to happen in this particular scenario, but if the boss does heal to full, the reinforcements will continue where it was left off. So if I wait for long enough and let the boss heal up to full, the reinforcements will continue from that slightly more than half point. And so if a reinforcement is really close to being complete, the moment the boss fully heals, that reinforcement is pretty much coming out straight away. So you do have to be careful and manage your resistance, your units well. Of course, I'm out of stamina now, but as usual, is that enough range? I do have enough range to swap the unit in, right? Now, this is a terrible idea, as you can tell, but it is possible. So that's basically everything you need to know about battles. The Watchtower trick, I think, is probably the biggest tip in this whole video. Just being able to swap units, who's garrisoned, who's on the Watchtower, that is such an important piece of strategy that can really turn the tides of a battle. Just putting the correct assists, putting the correct units on the correct garrisons, getting the units to be healed up, even moving units that are 0 stamina out of the way. All of that is really helpful. So that'll be it for the battle part, and next we're going to talk about tactics. Alright, let's talk about tactics. Tactics is this game's way of letting you control the battles. The battles themselves you are not in control of at all. You can only set what the characters can do based on the conditions that they're faced with. And from there you just have to hope that it is enough. Tactics are basically your only way of directly controlling the battle, aside from just the stats themselves. On first glance, it is an incredible amount of conditions and power, and you can go fairly in-depth, but you can also play it relatively straightforwardly. I'm going to run through a couple examples here just so you can figure out what you want to do. There's a lot of things that you can do, so this is not going to be by any means an in-depth guide, but hopefully it's enough to get you started. So by nature, your active actions, the red points, are going to be run from priority 1 to priority whatever the last one is, and it will perform the first action it finds where the conditions are passed, right? So for example, if I have double long thrust here and no conditions on the first one, I will never get to the second one, right? Let's say the second one is a different ability. Because the first one will always pass the conditions, there's no set conditions here. Chloe will never do the second action, even if it's her fourth time doing an action this turn. Every time you do an action, it runs through the top of the bracket again. So that is something important to note. Now, Chloe's long thrust attacks a column of enemies with a piercing strike, so she can hit both the front and the back row. However, it is not currently set up that way for her to auto-target. And to show you what I mean, if I put these two together, even though Lex and the mage are stacked on top of each other, what you'll notice is that Chloe will automatically attack Elaine. So by default, units will only attack the enemies that are in front of them, directly in front of them. And if there's no enemy in front of them, they will attack the one that is closest. And if there's no enemies that, and if there's multiple enemies that are closest, they will just randomly target one of them. So this is a waste of damage for Chloe because she should be attacking the one that is stacked, right? That way she can get more damage off. So we can actually set it up that way. So we can set long thrust to only attack a full column, right? We can set it so that, hey, if there's a full column, attack that full column. And so one important thing to note is that for this condition, the skill will not activate if there are no applicable targets. I'll show you what that means in a second. But this way, I can actually, Chloe will now actually, in battle, I'm just gonna run through this real quick. Elaine attacks, and Chloe will now actually target the one with the full column, right? She did miss the mage there, which is unfortunate, but that's okay. The important point is that she is actually now attacking that column. Now, one thing that can happen is that, as you read before, if there's no full columns, then this skill will not activate, right? So what happens here is that there are no full columns, and so when it's Chloe's turn, Chloe simply goes on standby. She doesn't attack because there are no enemies with a full column. And so we can navigate this by adding another long thrust. So if there's a full column, attack the full column. Otherwise, just attack the enemy that has the lowest HP, for example. So this is basically a way for you to be able to control the pace of the battle or control the targets. For example, you can even do a second condition where if there's multiple full columns, prioritize the casters, so mages and healers, right? If there's a column that has a tank in the front and an archer in the back, and then a column that has a tank in the front and a caster in the back, Chloe will automatically prioritize hitting the casters, right? Another thing you can see is that the long thrust is also set to be extra effective against cavalry units, right? So we can also set the second one, if there are no full columns, to prioritize cavalry, and if there's multiple cavalry, to attack the one with the lowest HP, right? And this way you can control who Chloe should attack effectively, and Chloe just doesn't automatically attack whatever is in front of her. That is generally just a very slow process. It's not very smart. You're going to be wasting a lot of damage that way. And so it's usually a good idea to set up these tactics. One thing that they did do that is really helpful is if you press X, you'll see that you can find a tactics template. And so you can actually save multiple templates per class. So this is divided by class. So if you set up Chloe, you pretty much set up every soldier's tactics, right? And you can have multiple. For example, the first one, as I've already done, will prioritize a full column and then prioritize cavalry after that, right? But let's say you're up against a unit where there are a few full columns, but the biggest threat are the cavalries, right? You want to prioritize the cavalry first. Well, you can do something like this instead, right? Where it will first it will first look for cavalry. If there's cavalry anywhere and she can target the cavalry, she will just attack the cavalry. Doesn't matter if there's a full column or not. She's attacking the cavalry that she can, right? And then, of course, targeting the one with the lowest HP. If there's no cavalry at all, then she checks for a full column. If there's multiple, she's going to prioritize the one with the caster, right? If there's no cavalry and there's no full column, she will simply attack the one with the lowest HP. So you can get fairly in-depth with this. You can do multiple of the same skill, just so you can control who gets attacked and how she attacks. And as you can see, you can actually get fairly in-depth with this, right? Reactions are the same way. Now, reactions are a bit different in that they have specified activation conditions. The only thing the priority is useful for is if two skills have the same activation condition, it will choose which one to do first, basically. And then it will do the second one if you still have passive points available, the blue gems. Most of the time, you'll only have one blue gem for the demo. There are some accessories that let you increase the amount of blue gems and red gems that you have, which is really nice. But in general, you'll be playing with one for the first little bit, for most of your units anyways. So for example, for first aid, I can set it to prioritize the front row, right? Let's say they have an archer that is attacking our back row, but we're more concerned about actually healing our front line. Well, we can set it to do that, right? Even if our back line is injured, prioritize the front row, right? And we can also say prioritize the front row where the HP is less than 100%, right? Or I can even set it so that it will only target the front row, and only if the target is less than 100%, right? The skill will not activate if there are no applicable targets. So similarly, at the end of the battle, if there's no one in the front row that has lost health, this skill will not activate. She will simply go on standby, and nothing will happen. So I can set up a second one where if everyone in the front row is healthy, then I target the back row, right? Then anyone else whose target is less than 100%, heal them, right? So this is a way for you to control who to heal. You can even go more in depth and say like, oh, I want to prioritize healing my armored targets, right? My hoplites, for example. Or maybe I want to prioritize healing, I want to prioritize healing myself, right? Only heal the user, or only heal other combatants, right? You can also even set these actions where you will only do this as the first action. Now, importantly, these don't work well for reaction skills. They're mostly there for the action skills, for the action points. But the idea applies, right? So yeah, these are basically the things that you can do, right? If there's multiple targets, for example, if there's multiple targets with less than 100 HP, I can say, heal the one with the lowest HP, or even the lowest percent HP, right? All these basically lets you control how you want your characters to act. And it's really helpful for every class just to have one or two templates set up for the most common scenarios, right? For example, Chloe in general, where I would use her is as either a poke, basically trying to get rid of some casters with a front line, getting rid of the healers, the mages, or to get rid of cavalry, right? So I have these two set up so that any soldier I use will mostly be for these two things, right? And so it's a good idea for every class just to have a couple of pages set up. You can switch them mid-battle, right? So you get into a battle against cavalry, and so you're using this page. But then in your next battle, you're up against some front line with healers, and you want a way to attack the healers in the back without having to change up your units, right? So you can just quickly go to your template. You can click organize on the battle, switch up to the other template, load the template, and just battle, right? So they make it very easy to switch up the templates, and so you should have plenty of control over each individual battle, assuming you're willing to put the time into it, right? This can go fairly in depth, I have a couple of pages set up and a couple pages that I still need to set up for a few of my classes. But it's been a really fun time just figuring out all these conditions. Mock battles are really good in terms of just figuring out, hey, would this work the way I want it to work? So take advantage of the mock battles that you can do in forts. I know it's not something that I think a lot of people will use to their advantage, but it is really helpful in just figuring out your tactics here. So that's basically everything that I have on tips for this game, little tips, little tricks that I've learned throughout my couple of playthroughs. I've been really enjoying this game, obviously, otherwise I wouldn't be making this video and I wouldn't have played the demo 3 times. But yeah, I will be streaming this game this Friday EST, 9:30 p.m. And let me know if these types of videos are something that you guys enjoy. I want to make more on this game. I'll definitely be streaming this game and playing this game a lot. I think I've been wanting to stream more, so I'm thinking I might stream Friday nights is a big one, but then I might have to stream during the mornings. I have some mornings off coming up, Tuesdays and Thursdays. So we'll see how it goes. I think it would be pretty fun. But yeah, thank you all for watching. If you have any tips that you have while playing this game, please let me know. Anything I got wrong, let me know. I do not want to be spreading misinformation. But yeah, hope you guys will join me on this journey with this game. Hope you guys will enjoy this game as much as I have been. And thank you all for watching. I hope to see you when I play this game.